Welcome to the Cloud Platform quarterly webinar, and thanks for joining today. Quick housekeeping notes. All attendees in this webinar will be only in the listen mode, and if you have any questions or technical difficulties that you are having with the webinar, please post your questions and comments on the questions chat window on the right hand side of the webinar panel, and we will address any technical issues as we go along in the webinar, and any other questions will be addressed at the end of the webinar. So let's take a look at the agenda. We have a pretty interesting agenda for you. At Accelerate, we take this opportunity to give you highlights and key updates on what Accelerate team has been since the last quarter. So we will go through some of the interesting updates and highlights that we would like to share with you all. And as this is more important to each of our customers, basically, we will be discussing Cloud Platform releases and the roadmap. We have invited our strategic partners, Datera, and Datera team is going to address, they're going to walk us through the software-defined storage solution that we have integrated with Cloud Platform. So we're going to go through that details, talk about the integration, and then one of the key things that we would like to do in each of these webinars is basically bring value to our existing customers by sharing some of the new interesting integrations or new features that we include in Cloud Platform, which might be interesting from the point of monetization, or in the enterprise space, it might be more interesting for you to actually explore new architectures and deploy new workloads. So in this webinar today, we are discussing about how do we support Docker on Cloud Platform. So after that, we will leave about 5 to 10 minutes for question and answers. So please keep them handy and post them so we will be able to address your questions quickly. So a quick introduction to the speakers. I'm Raj Ramchandani, and I manage the Cloud Platform business at Accelerate. And I will be talking about the key highlights and discuss what is important update today from the last quarter. And Ashok Rajagopalan, he's head of products at Datera, and Ashok will be walking us through giving us an overview about Datera solution, their capabilities, and how the integration works with Cloud Platform. And finally, Jaideep Marfatria, he is the product manager at Accelerate, and he will be giving us updates on the releases and the roadmap on Cloud Platform, plus he will be discussing also the Docker support on Cloud Platform. So by way of key updates, right, takeaways. So what we want to share today is basically, so some of you were not able to make it to the Accelerate User Summit. We have this summit that we organize once in a year, invite our customers to come and join us and exchange notes, talk to other colleagues and users of other Cloud Platform technologies to basically see how they are operating, they are using their clouds, etc. So we had one Accelerate User Summit in January this year, and it was pretty interesting to see how our customers are actually using the Cloud Platform. And we have all kinds of deployments, right? We have customers who run very large public clouds. We have customers who are running inside their data centers. These are enterprise customers who use variety of different workloads on-prem. And there are also community clouds. You know, there are communities like research organizations who are using the cloud powered by Cloud Platform. So it is pretty interesting to see how public, private, community, all kinds of clouds have been running with Cloud Platform. So that is very encouraging for us. And some of the key highlights that I'm going to talk about, these are shared by our customers, right? So these are very impressive statistics that we found. We found a customer running about 26 zones in 26 different geolocations. Now that's pretty impressive considering the scale this cloud is running at. 26 zones in 26 different geographical locations and data centers is pretty powerful, powerful sort of a cloud deployment. And one of our customers shared that they were using about 8.4 million compute hours every month. Now that's 8.4 million compute hours. That's pretty impressive given that this is actually an on-prem enterprise cloud, not even a public cloud. So their usage is extremely, extremely high, very efficiently run cloud. We had a customer who discussed about 4,000 hosts that they are using in a single cloud. And another enterprise customer is running about 1,600 VMs per day. And all these customers are basically across the board in all the verticals. So some of the verticals we found were gaming companies running games, obviously on the public clouds, financial services companies running all kinds of workloads, education, research organizations. I mentioned about how research data was being shared on a cloud platform, and of course we have SaaS providers. So these are some of the key highlights. It's very impressive to see how different customers, different verticals, different configurations, deployments, different sizes are powered by Cloud Platform. Next. So we took away a few common observations from across all the customers who shared their experiences, right? Cloud operations management is key important function basically. So one of the things that obviously since the clouds have been run, Cloud Platform clouds have been running for a number of years now. So every customer seems to have developed a custom monitoring solution. They have built tremendous amount of automation to help them with operations. And hybrid cloud is the key. Most of our customers actually shared how they were building a hybrid cloud experience for their users, either using VPN, some were using CPBM to actually give that sort of experience of a hybrid cloud to the end users. And operational intelligence was one of the key factors we saw that, right? Everybody wants to analyze their logs. So some were analyzing logs using Splunk and things like that, but having that operational intelligence is key criteria for all the customers who run this cloud across the board. Next. So we asked customers what exactly, how we can help, right? What is the roadmap? How can we shape Cloud Platform going forward? So here are some of the few things that we picked up as highlighted things, not necessarily this is the complete list. The complete list is pretty long. But one of the key things that we heard was GPU VM support, right? The GPU has become extremely important given the importance of machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies that people want to run on their cloud. So VM support is critical. And we are actually working on including support for NVIDIA Grid and Tesla GPUs. So you will hear some of these updates in the next couple of months from our side. Snapshot performance improvements. We heard this over and over again that the snapshots are extremely slow. So we have a couple of solutions out there actually. One of them is we have to decouple the snapshot and backing to the secondary store. We can work with software-defined storage partners like Datera and SolidFire. We can also leverage backup solutions like Commvault. So we are working on some of these solutions, and you will again hear from us as we make progress. Datera integration is already there, so you might be able to actually leverage decoupled snapshots, offload to Datera. That's possible today. You can try that right away. Our release cycles was one of the concerns for most of the customers who shared like the release cycles are too long. That's the nature of the product because we hardened the product. We spent tremendous amount of time in QA and testing. That's why we release only one release every 6 months, but we are changing that, how we release is. We will continue to deliver a lot more functionality through hotfix releases, and Jaideep will be able to share that information with you today. And also you will hear about the release cycles more in our newsletters. We have simplified the upgrades and update process quite a bit. We have taken steps to actually build automation and procedures, but also given the complexity and the nature of the cloud that you don't want any downtime when upgrading, we have created a upgrade assistance program that you can avail of, and our engineers and support personnel will work with you to help you migrate and upgrade to the latest releases. Next. So common as continuing this, right? Docker integration, obviously, everybody is talking about containers, whether it is public cloud providers who want to deliver container as a service, or enterprises who are using microservices architecture. They want to cater to the developers, right? So we are working on integrating Docker, and that is one of the things that we would like to discuss today and show you how we have provided an integration of Kubernetes with cloud platform, so you can extend the functionality of your cloud platform to containers as well. Hybrid cloud solution, as I mentioned, there are multiple different ways that our customers have actually developed the notion of providing a hybrid cloud solution. But we are working on a product called Rovius, and this is something that I'll just introduce it briefly towards the end of the webinar, and then share a lot more details about the product as we make progress towards end of May this year. And product catalog was something that most of our customers obviously want, or they have some mechanism of providing images that the end users can deploy, but CPBM is our solution there. We have provided CPBM it can become a store front end or a product catalog. So if you desire to build one, or you need one, then you should consider seriously CPBM as well. Next. So with this, I'm going to hand over to Jaideep, and Jaideep is going to walk you through the current roadmap and release cycles from here. Jaideep?
Yeah, thank you, Raj. Hi, everybody. As you know, we already released 4.7.1 in November last year, and we have seen customers already upgrading to that particular release. So we are very happy about that. And as Raj recently briefly talked about, that customer wanted much more frequent feature updates. So what we have decided to do is to roll out features along with the hotfix releases. Now this features that we add to the hotfix release go through a very strict criteria of not changing the database and certain others. So we released a 4.5.1 in March, which had ability to create bulk VM. So you can just fire off one API and create multiple virtual machines, and some control over placement on where the virtual machines get placed. The 4.7.1 hotfix 1 is slated for April this month, and some of the key aspects of that release is vSAN support. So we're adding vSAN support in this release, as well as some control over management IP and ability to dedicate IP ranges and VLANs for a particular domain. We also improved Kubernetes and load balancer integration, so services can be exposed very easily and seamlessly. And the July release is again going to have a bunch of very interesting features. We got Hyper-V clustering coming, We got persistent VR and RVR for VPC. Some snapshot improvements that Raj talked about. GPU support for VMware and OVA import. There are some issues around that that we had. We'll be adding multiple disk OVA import as well. We're adding storage load balancing. So you can have now multiple primary and secondary storage, and it will load balance seamlessly. We're adding Arista switch support for bare metal, and we'll be certifying SolidFire and Datera as a part of this release. Datera is also certified with 471. So this is something that you can try right now. Next, please. We also did a release for CPBM in February, and this also had very interesting features that customers have been asking for. We added the tier pricing model, so now you have more flexibility on how you can attract customers by creating interesting product catalogs. We added reseller functionality. Now you can unleash all your resellers and partners to go and sell your services. They can manage their own accounts, onboard their own customers, and finally there's a settlement between CSP and reseller that you can do. And we have added some enhancements and surfacing a few features that were not accessible from CPBM. Like SSL termination, destination, CIDR in egress rule. Some of these were, asked repeatedly by our customers. So all this is kind of available in the February release. We're also working on the August release, where we are, simplifying this further. Customers would be able to upload templates from their browser. And this kind of, again, simplifies the operation. Cloud service provider doesn't need to get involved frequently. They'll be able to create snapshots from, virtual machines from snapshots. We are also adding a summary in the billing export that we used to do that should simplify some of the integration with billing systems. And we are adding support for multiple reseller, which will kind of allow multiple admins from the reseller to manage the reseller relationship. We're adding a read-only role. This was again a very frequent request. People wanted help desk from service providers to go and help customers, but wanted to make sure that they cannot make changes on customer behalf. They can view and then take it to the IT admin. So we are adding this feature. And last but not least, we are improving the SSO and login APIs so that cloud service provider can expose lot more services through CPBM very easily. Next. So with this, I'll hand over to Ashok Rajgopalan, who will be talking about the Datera solution. Ashok.
Right. Thank you, Jaydeep. I'm going to talk about the Datera solution. So Datera Elastic Data Fabric is like the Amazon EBS, Elastic Block Storage, for on-premise clouds. So as Raj pointed out earlier, we are a software-defined solution running on commodity x86 servers. Next slide, please. So I'll briefly give an overview of the product and talk about the integrations with the cloud platform environment. So just to look at the motivation for the product, looking at the data center trends, there are kind of three major areas data centers and service providers are adopting. Software-defined infrastructure is becoming a norm, primarily because customers want to take advantage of commodity x86 hardware and control this hardware through policy and programmability. They want to leverage the economics of evolution of standard x86 servers and media and use software-based solutions to reduce overall cost of the solution. Second is about automation. Having a programmable infrastructure is very critical to simplify operations rather than handling box by box. People want to handle the solution holistically, remove the human error out of the problem space, and make the system self-adaptive. And storage is probably one of those areas where it's probably human heavy. So there's a lot of room for automation and simplifying operations. The third area is about shared infrastructure or cloud with the self-service portal and consumption model. Customers want to have many applications and have multiple service levels for those applications with high utilization. So these are the three things we have kind of taken to heart from a Datera perspective. And Datera is a purpose-built environment for cloud infrastructure. Next slide, please. So just to kind of quickly run through the Datera infrastructure, like I pointed out earlier, we are a scale-out software-defined iSCSI block storage. We run on standard x86 servers. We've integrated with CloudPlatform and CloudStack. The locations for the plugins are in GitHub. We'll talk about a bit more about the integration itself a bit later. So the two key goals of Datera is that, one, we support a wide range of applications and give them appropriate service levels. So with Datera, you can carve out a specific quality of service, bandwidth guarantees, and media types for your application. So that's one of the key aspects. So we can house a wide range of applications on this shared infrastructure. The second aspect of it is the system is self-adaptive so that you dramatically reduce your operational overhead to manage this environment, whether you're managing a 3-node, 5-node environment or a very large cluster, dramatically reduces the overall operational overhead. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so this is a quick view of the Datera architecture, a very high-level view. So I've got an environment here, which is a CloudPlatform hosting a number of applications. It could be MySQL, MongoDB, Cassandra, or your Microsoft packaged applications, all accessing Datera primary storage as a primary storage device. Datera, like I pointed out earlier, is a software-based storage system which runs on multiple types of nodes. You could have hybrid flash nodes, or you could have all flash nodes. You could have Dell servers, Supermicro servers. Really doesn't matter. It gives you an aggregated view of the infrastructure. The key aspects that we do is this notion of policy-based data placement. So based on your application requirements, we would appropriately place the data on the appropriate nodes. So you could have a volume which needs very high performance, and you can say that, hey, this has to be on all flash nodes, and we'll place it appropriately, or some like a Hadoop workload where you don't have to have the greatest of performance. You can say this could be in hybrid flash nodes, and we'll place it appropriately. The second aspect is the system is self-adaptive, so constantly looking at the application workload changes, the nodes in the cluster, and the networking bandwidth, and we are constantly evolving the system to give the best SLAs to the applications. The third thing is about scalability. Like I said, you can start small. You can start with 3 nodes and keep adding nodes as you grow. You can add all flash nodes. You can add different generations of platforms as new generations of hardware comes out. All in the same environment. It will automatically kind of resource pool the environment and give the appropriate tiers to the applications. The system is multi-tenant by nature. So you can have unique tenant views and tenancy views as well. The idea is whether it's an application, it's a user or a tenant, you can kind of use the Datera system to carve out the appropriate tenancy views. And lastly, the system is completely API driven. So every aspect of the system is programmable through a RESTful interface. Our UI GUI is built on the REST interface as well. And the plugin that we talked about earlier is also based using the REST API. So the system is extremely programmable from that perspective. Now, this the part you're seeing on the left-hand side is what is on the on-premise environment for the customer. What you see on the right-hand side, the Datera Cloud operations part is in the cloud. So what is happening is we're constantly monitoring the on-premise environments of the customer and aggregating information, metadata information, and giving a continuous monitoring view for the customer. Are we building insights and reinforcing insights back into the on-premise environment? Again, the customer has access to this. We have a portal, and you have access to this information. You can see a lot more fine-grained information on the application behavior, on the node behavior, on the cluster behavior, etc. So I'll talk about that a bit later as well in a future slide. And again, from an infrastructure perspective, it's x86 servers and standard Ethernet networking. Nothing, we don't expect anything unique from a hardware configuration perspective. Next slide, please. Yeah, so just to talk about the integration, like I pointed out earlier, it's very easy to deploy. Just drop the plugin and restart the Cloud Platform Management Service. You're up and running. You'll see Datera show up as a primary storage that you can configure. You can configure the Datera storage either to cluster or zone level with the QoS parameters and login credentials. It's extremely programmable from that perspective. In terms of features, we support a wide range of features like JD pointed earlier. We obviously do the volume provisioning and all the CRUD aspects from a volume perspective. You can attach, detach, resize volumes, expand volumes online, etc. We also do very efficient snapshots, instantaneous zero overhead snapshots from a product perspective. And with the Cloud Platform integration, we can offload the snapshot process off to the Datera platform. So you have no overhead, and it's very quick and fast. We also provide the ability to creating volumes, templates, VM instances from snapshots, and all the classic Cloud Platform capabilities from that perspective in terms of attaching volumes to VMs in different and moving it from one cluster to another cluster, etc. So you can take advantage of all those benefits. Next slide, please. Just to talk about the Datera features at a high level, again, we'll have a lot more information in additional collateral, but the platform is an enterprise-ready platform, has by default in provisioning, has, like I pointed out earlier, has very efficient zero overhead snapshots and clone capability. We automatically do the notion of volume placement, or we give you the control of doing volume placement. You can decide to place a volume on a hybrid flash node or all flash node, etc. Or you can decide to place your primary replica on flash and subsequent replicas on hybrid. Obviously, you can do resizing of the volume online. You can change the number of replicas that you want on the system as well. So extreme flexibility from that perspective. We support adaptive compression. Again, by default, compression is turned on, and we make sure it's performant. When you're doing line speeds, we'll do compression offline, and otherwise we'll compression online. You can control the replication factors and QoS numbers as you want on a per volume basis. In terms of performance, we give you, again, the ability to have choose between hybrid flash nodes and all flash nodes. I'll talk about how and when you can choose where to place which workloads on the appropriate nodes. We can support at least 70K IOPS per node at sub-millisecond latency with a 70-30 read-write ratio for small 4K workloads. Currently, the system is tested up to 20 node scale, which is about 2 petabytes in capacity. In terms of operations, we make it very simple for you to plug into your existing environments. So we support all the traditional mechanisms like SNMP, syslog, etc. And we have a very rich RESTful API. So if you want to integrate into any of your environments that you have, it's very easy to integrate. The system is completely built with a non-disruptive operations motto, so we can do software upgrades, firmware upgrades, etc. in a seamless, non-disruptive fashion. So we automatically migrate target ports from one node to another node, and we do a rolling upgrade process for the cluster. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is just to give you a perspective of where hybrid flash nodes make sense and all flash nodes make sense. In a cloud, there are going to be diverse set of workloads, and the idea is historically we're looking at capacity and performance, and here we're looking at the working set size and performance. If your workloads have a small working set, but you might need higher performance, the all-flash nodes are probably the right type of configuration that you want to deploy those volumes on. And there could be some applications which have a high working set to data set ratio and might also need high performance. And all-flash nodes might be the right node for that particular configuration. So you can choose based on the type of application or the workload, you can give the appropriate hardware configuration that you want to deploy your environment on. So we give you this flexibility all under one management control plane. So you have very seamless control and fine-grained nuance of how you want to place your applications. And you also have the ability to move an application from a hybrid flash node to all flash node and vice versa. So it gives you, when you decide at a later point of time you want to move the characteristics of your volume, you can do that as well. So we are extremely flexible from an architecture perspective. Next slide, please. All right. So this is taking a different view of the scale-out architecture. So you could start with 3 nodes or a small configuration, and you grow your cluster. Here is an example where you have the blue representing for hybrid flash nodes and red representing the all-flash nodes. You can have a cluster with a mixed configuration, and what we allow for is this wide price performance aperture. So you can have a volume with which is created with all flash nodes and could be maybe, let's say, $3 a gigabyte, and you can have a volume which is created with hybrid flash nodes, and you have it at maybe 60 cents a gigabyte. So you have a wide aperture, and you can obviously have various volume configurations always and all the way in between as well. So we give you a control between your IOPS and capacity range that you want to do. The second thing is, like I said, you could grow as you go. You can add nodes. You can replace old generations of hardware, decommission the nodes. You can reconfigure the cluster if you wanted to add new environments, etc. Maybe break up the cluster into, from a large cluster to a small cluster and vice versa. So it gives you a lot of, benefits how you want to consume the environment. We have a single-click cluster-wide upgrade, software upgrade process. Makes it very simple for the maintenance updates and new software release updates. Like I talked about earlier, you can do online volume expansion, replica reconfiguration, and the like. So it gives you a lot of capability from a symmetric scale-out product perspective. Next slide. So this is, again, kind of elevating how in a cloud platform environment you will consume the data storage, right? You could have multiple disk offerings. In this case, I've got, the 4 different disk offerings: gold, silver, bronze, and platinum. And you could have various characteristics for those disk offerings. You can have different replication levels, different IOPS configurations. You could have different latency characteristics configured. And also we can also dictate which type of media it's placed on, so your cost factor is controlled as well. So we are truly policy based, and you can control how data and target port placement is done. So you can have volume with all flash, primary replica in flash, or all the replicas in hybrid, right? It gives you extreme flexibility. And like I talked about earlier, we integrate with a template-based deployment mechanism, so you can have templates defined for this, and you can spin out your VMs based on that particular template definition. Next slide, please. So this is a slide which is just covering our cloud analytics aspect I talked about earlier. The 4 key areas that we cover is the system telemetry. So we're continuously monitoring the system. We give you a multi-cluster view if you have multiple clusters, maybe geographically spread or within the same data center, really doesn't matter. We give you a constant view of the system. You can look at deep insights in the system in terms of what is the behavior. We give you anomaly windows and stuff like that. So if anything is behaving odd, we'll kind of flag that as well. You can set up alerts on that. Extremely flexible from that perspective. We give you a lot of performance insights, not just on the volume itself, but also on the network, because network is our backplane, so to speak. So if there is contention of the network, etc., we'll give you that view. We'll also give you a system level view and also a per node level view. So you want to drill down on a particular node, maybe a volume or target port based on a particular node is not performing well. You can double click and see what the problem is. We also give an application view, so you can correlate it to your virtual machine and see what's the problem with that particular application. We'll give you very deep insights in terms of what is the I/O profile, what is the type of I/O activity that happened, what are the cache misses, what is the bandwidth that used, all sorts of information that you can look into and analyze for an application perspective. The third aspect is about usage and capacity trending. So you can obviously look at what's an application using, actual use data versus what is the provision data, and etc. We can use this for capacity planning purposes. We have an automatic capacity planner in the system. We'll give you some trend based on your trend information. We'll give you like what is the usage patterns and what we expect the usage pattern to be over the next 30 to 60 days, etc. So it gives you some idea of how you want to plan for your resources as you move forward. The last aspect is about infrastructure. It's very key to understand the inventory itself. We constantly kind of monitor the system, every component of the system. We give you predictive information if a media is going to fail, like a hard drive is going to fail or SSD is going to fail. If it fails, we'll do alerting and handling based on that. The system itself is agnostic to node failure and media SSDs or hard drive failures. It automatically rebalances and does a mesh rebuild. But this gives you information on, if something is going to fail or if something failed, how the system has reacted to it, and what is the impact on capacity and etc. So that gives you a high-level view on the environment. And you can also set alerts and thresholds specifically. So if you're interested in a customer usage or an application usage, you can set up thresholds, and you can see the top talkers. You can see which volumes are consuming your resources and bandwidth and IOPS, etc. And you can kind of look and learn from that as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so switching gears, hopefully you got a rough idea of the product. Again, like I said, we'll probably point you to a lot more resources in terms of collateral and videos. But just to wrap it, in terms of how customers are using this, so I'm taking 2 cases, both of them service provider customers, managed service provider customers. One of the customer is Packet, being a customer from early Datera product release perspective. They started small, and now they have about 7,000 customers, multiple data centers, and using Datera as their backend storage device for all of these deployments. One of the key things about Packet is they really use the programmability of the product, so they've seamlessly integrated provisioning the volume, etc., consumption of the volume, monitoring infrastructure, etc., into their framework. And we make it very easy for a customer to kind of consume resources and deploy the storage resources, attach it to their compute resources and consume, make it very easy, make it very programmable. Another use case is a customer who's using this as a cloud stack based managed service. Again, this is a customer who's a managed service provider hosting customers on their environment. They really take advantage of this notion of hybrid flash and all flash nodes. So they give multiple tiers of service to their customers, and they can give this at different price points. So their acquisition cost is also different because hybrid flash nodes, there are different price point compared to all flash nodes, and they can give different service levels to their customers and charge different service levels to their customers. So it makes it very easy from a customer perspective when they're consuming these resources. Again, it's very seamlessly integrated into the Cloud Stack, Cloud Platform environment. So they were able to operationalize the Datera solution in less than 2 days. So literally dropped the plugin and started consuming the resources in a very seamless fashion. Next slide, please. So just to wrap this overview and where we started from. So Datera is a software-based storage solution. Talked about the key strengths are we provide great economic elasticity. It could be called price performance aperture, how you want to call it. The bottom line is you can create multiple service levels in the same infrastructure, and you can consume different type of media types and nodes. We can scale, so if you want to have performance or capacity, you can scale these nodes. You can add one by one. You can add a bunch of nodes together into the cluster. And the core aspect of the system is we have decoupled application provisioning from physical infrastructure management, and we call this intent-defined storage. The idea is the application provisioner doesn't have to understand what type of infrastructure is there underneath. You can just ask for resources and we'll automatically place it underneath. The system is built with the automation in mind, so the system itself is self-adaptive. There's an edge computing aspect to this where the system makes real-time decisions on how to best fit the application placement as well as any changes in the environment. In addition to that, we also have this active cloud operations portal, which is constantly monitoring the system and building insights, long-term insights, and reinforcing it back on the cluster. So the system is very, very self-adaptive from an overall perspective. The last aspect is about the ability to run any workloads with the multi-tenant framework and making it very easy to integrate into the orchestrator framework. So that's another key aspect of the system. Next slide, please. Right, with that, thank you. I'll pass it over to Jaydeep. I think is going to continue a few more cloud platform topics.
Okay, thank you, Ashok. That was very interesting. Raj mentioned that we'll discuss one of the features over here related to Docker's containers. What we've done is we've integrated Kubernetes with Cloud Platform, and this gives all our Cloud Platform providers an ability to spin up Kubernetes clusters and give the Kubernetes endpoints, CLI and dashboard to their users. So let's get started. Next slides, please. So we got, let's see what is Kubernetes first. It's an open source container orchestration platform. This started by Google. This is based off of their experience of running containers inside Google for many years. And they're targeting kind of planet scale. The current version is supporting up to 5,000 nodes and 150,000 pods. They're focusing on consistent application delivery. This is done through containers and managing and orchestrating the connectivity and placement of containers on the bare metal. And the last but not the least is this can run anywhere, right from bare metal to private cloud to public cloud to hybrid topologies. So this is really a key aspect why this particular platform is very, very popular. Looking at from the architecture point of view, Kubernetes has a notion of a master node and a bunch of worker nodes. Master runs the control plane and the worker nodes run the actual containers that are requested by the clients. Now, deploying and setting up one such cluster is an involved process. There are a lot of services that needs to be put up together on master server, you got API server running, you got schedulers running, you got a registry running, and we got replication controllers also, need to run and get configured. And also on each node there are a bunch of services, kubelet and kubeproxy, that needs to be configured. So what we have done here is to have given an ability for Cloud Platform administrator to spin up a Kubernetes cluster very easily. So you just provide some information and click few buttons and you have your Kubernetes clusters up and running. Next slide, please. So as I was saying, we help you spin up the cluster very quickly. We leverage Cloud Platform capabilities to give you high availability on the master nodes or even the worker nodes when desired. And you can expand your cluster as your requirement grow by simply clicking a button and adding, we'll spin up a new node, make it part of the cluster, and the end users can start consuming the capacity. We also integrated well with the Cloud Platform Load Balancer. One of the key aspects of Kubernetes, it provides a consistent overlay network, and then exposing it from overlay network to outside world is usually a challenge. But this is now integrated well with Cloud Platform Load Balancer, so it's all kind of seamless to the end user. Next. So installation, again, it's implemented as a plugin. As you install the plugin, you get a new tab here called Services. And we also have an ability to, add a new cluster right there. Next, please. If you see this, the Add Kubernetes Cluster screen just asks you for name, what service offering you want to use, and size of the cluster. So it's just like a handful of information, you give it, and off you go. Next, please. What you end up with is a cluster that is up and running. You got a master node, a bunch of worker nodes, all set up and ready to go for you. And you can also expand the cluster when needed. Let's take a quick look at what happens in the background. Here you have got hypervisor host orchestrated by Cloud Platform. And we go and set up a master node first, and then set up all the worker nodes in parallel, and then wire all of them up together for you. Next. You also get a quick command line access to the service once it is all set up and done. And you also get a dashboard. Next slide, please. So as a part of setting up the cluster, we also set up the Kubernetes dashboard. And then onwards, people who are familiar with Kubernetes can just go and deploy applications using the same interface. So hope this gave you a quick overview of what we can do. And now you can go and set up a cluster for your DevOps internally, or if you are a cloud service provider, you can use this to create a Kubernetes as a service and give it to your client and charge specially or additionally for that. With this, I'll hand it over to Raj. Raj?
Yes, JD, thank you so much. Thanks, Ashok, for that wonderful introduction to Datera. We are excited to have these two integrations that are readily available today and can be used pretty much right away if you choose to. So here's, in the beginning, we did mention about the Rovius as a new product that we have been working on. We did mention about Rovius product strategy at the user summit. So some of you were not there. Just to give you a very high level overview about Rovius in 1 minute, and then we'll have a lot more details about the product in the next webinar when we do this in June timeframe. So Rovius, what we have taken is we have taken the CloudPlatform product and integrated with storage, which is the Datera storage solution, and then we have bundled the virtualization. So what you're getting basically is an integrated solution for an enterprise cloud, right? So it's going to be hybrid support by default. That means this cloud will have the capability to federate with any external cloud platform cloud or even AWS in the second iteration. So the idea is basically to give you a turnkey solution instead of just giving you a VM orchestration, which is a cloud platform, and then you bring other point products and technologies. We'll give you an integrated solution. It is basically automated installation and monitoring, and it has a bunch of capabilities that you normally do with the point projects. You wouldn't have to worry about that. So if you're familiar with hyperconverged infrastructures providers, something like Nutanix or SimpliVity, which is now HP, we are building a similar technology stack for enterprise clouds, right? So you can take the entire cloud as a turnkey solution and then scale out, add more servers to it, and then you will be able to build a large cloud with it. And we are building Grace, which is an operations manager, which will help you manage, scale, and operate the cloud. It basically simplifies the operation aspects of running any large size cloud that you want to run. So with that, I will just stop here. We'll be happy to share a lot more details if you reach out to us. And the demo for both Cloud Platform plus Datera integration, as well as the Cloud Platform plus Kubernetes integration, both are available today. Reach out to us either at webinar@excelrite.com, or personally, if you want to reach out to Jaydeep or myself, please feel free to do so as well. So, and Rovius, we promise to give you a demo probably in a month's time. Don't hesitate to ask for the demos or sandbox environments. We should be able to give it to you in a week or two. With that, I will take a pause and see if there are questions that we can address at the moment. So we've got about 7 minutes for Q&A. Any questions out there? Smita, are there questions?
So this one here asking about if Datera solution is available with 4.7.1 or not. So the answer is yes. The plugin that is available for Datera is certified with Cloud Platform version 4.7.1.
I've got a second question here. When are you planning to have next Accelerate User Summit? We would like to attend again. Yes, absolutely. We will hold our annual Accelerate User Summit in January. That's the normal time frame that we do again. So it'll be January next year. And you should receive your invite as early as maybe September or October 2017.
There's one here asking about which versions would be supported for Hyper-V cluster. I'm assuming the question is around which Hyper-V versions will be supporting 2012 R2 onwards, and we'll also have 2016 certified with the I release.
Great. I have another question. Is Rovius integrated with CPBM? Absolutely, Rovius will be integrated with CPBM. Expect integration, the first integration available in July 2017. I see another question. Maybe Jaideep, you can answer this. Can you manage Rovius VMs from CPBM?
Yes. So Rovius will integrate with CPBM in a very similar way as it does with CloudPlatform today.
Great. We've got another Datera related question. How does Datera solution compare with SolidFire? I'll hand over this to you, Ashok.
Yeah, sure. Obviously there are a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. So we have some details on our website. You can access datera.io for more details on the comparisons. But at a high level, SolidFire is an all-flash solution. We are an all-flash as well as an hybrid flash solution, all in one cluster. So you can, like I said, you can create multiple service tiers. You can control on bandwidth. You can control a lot of knobs on the system to create the appropriate service level. So we are purpose-built for the cloud environment. In addition to that, there are a lot of fine-grained differences in the product itself about how the product is architected in terms of scale, in terms of decoupling, application provisioning from infrastructure management. We've got also an online portal-based solution to monitor actively and the like. So those are differences. Similarities-wise, it is a scale-out storage, similar from that perspective. We are truly software-defined, so we're kind of decoupled ourselves from the hardware, but architecturally, there are some similarities as well.
Great. Thanks, Ashok. I have another question. We are interested in offering container service on our cloud. How can you help us with that? Absolutely. The Kubernetes integration is available today. It's a lot more easier to build Amazon container service like service with Kubernetes and CloudPlatform. So please reach out to us and we will be happy to give you guidance and best practices on implementing container service on CloudPlatform. One more question. Can I buy the Datera solution from Accelerate, or do I have to purchase from Datera only? You can buy a solution directly from Datera, or you can buy Datera from Accelerate as well. It's an integrated storage with Rovius. So Rovius, obviously, its default solution is Datera. So depending on what you're buying for CloudPlatform or Rovius, you can either get it from Datera or Accelerate, either way. With that, I think we are coming up on time. I'll take a moment and say thank you everyone who was able to take the time to attend this webinar. We'd love your feedback. Send us your feedback to webinar@accelerate.com. Reach out to us for any comments, questions, demos, etc. that you would like to see. And we will follow up a lot more details about everything that we discussed today, including some of the updates on Rovius through our newsletter. So I'm hoping that you are already signed up for those newsletters. If you're not, please do so on our website. Thank you again one more time, and we hope to see you soon again in next quarter. Thanks.